story of God has more layers and complexity than human minds presently comprehend. And even that which we know or believe we know is a story that can only be revealed and understood as we draw closer to our originating source. One motif, which repeats in the cycles of time and space, is that of God and the prodigal journey. God and all creations of God are prodigal sons and daughters. We are apt to think of the prodigal journey in terms of its separative, rebellious, and selfish modality, wherein the pilgrim ventures into the world of experience and material conquest to appease the sentient nature with little or no regard to consequence. Then, realizing that matter and indulgent behavior cannot satisfy his soul, the sober pilgrim returns home seeking order, discipline, and meaning and mercy from the Father. The parable of the prodigal son, as told by Jesus, embodies the sinner's tale from descent into material living before a return home to the Father, as a metaphor for a return to heaven and a spiritually directed life. We have glimpses of the prodigal descent in other biblical stories, such as the war in heaven, related in the book of Revelation, and Eve partaking of the fruit in the Garden of Eden. By contrast, we have the mythic labors of Hercules, which primarily demonstrate the pilgrim's attempt to return to spirit or heaven. But there are also ambiguous depictions of prodigal acts, wherein the descent and return are seemingly simultaneous acts that blur black and white morality, such as Prometheus stealing fire from the gods in compassionate service to humanity. Likewise, the tale of Robin Hood emotes ambivalent feelings in its readers as we observe the bandit behaving criminally, though in an effort to ease the suffering of his kinspeople. The heroes and anti-heroes of our modern literature and film co-opt the prodigal experience similarly. Bruce Wayne, as the charismatic playboy, plays an intentional foil to his alter ego, Batman, fighting criminals from the shadows, though maligned and misunderstood by people he seeks to liberate. This ambiguity may be closer to the truth of our prodigal existence. The ancient wisdom suggests that the prodigal experience is something all souls have done repeatedly during a much longer journey that spans time, space, and beyond. The mere fact that we have separated from our higher selves to have experience and play the games of life is by its very act a manifestation of our prodigal nature. We have evolved into matter and must extract ourselves from the depths of form and experience by evolving back to spirit and our true source. As we are reflections of the one source, the wisdom of the ages infers that God, or that universal source, likewise involves and evolves, exhibiting the prodigal journey on a grander scale. One such journey within this great universal experience involves the current evolution of planet Earth. Each planet is governed by a hierarchy of godlike beings who have passed through and mastered the human realms. Some are very high masters from our perspective, though from a larger point of view, they are simply our soul brothers and sisters who have traveled further upon the path of life and mastered the material aspects of which we ourselves are now endeavoring to master. The primary Logos, God of our planet, is sometimes referred to as a heavenly man, or the Lord of the world, or the one in whom we live and move and have our being. He is more specifically referred to as the Ancient of Days, or Sanat Kumara, in the ancient texts. This planetary Logos has long since mastered the human condition and passed initiations that humanity can little understand in the cosmic scheme. He wields the plan and purpose of the one universal God for this tiny planet we call Earth. He directs the energies of the planet while scrupulously respecting and reverencing the free will of humankind, for it is ultimately up to humanity to cooperate with the hierarchy and bring to pass major elements of the plan on this physical plane. But even the Logoi of planets and the larger cosmos have freedom to choose and manifest the plan of God as they decide. They play the game with us, though with much greater vision and experience. Still, from their elevated perspective, they are bringing to fulfillment the plan as best they understand or dare, often experimenting with the unfoldment of planetary, solar, and cosmic evolution. According to the ancient wisdom, Sanat Kumara is considered somewhat of a rebel planetary god. Of course, a rebel at this level of consciousness is different from what mortals might consider a rebel. The teachings of the Tibetan master Djwhal Khul, as conveyed through the writings of Alice A. Bailey, state, "In every grouping, whether in heaven or on earth, there is always evidenced a tendency by some units in the group to revolt, to rebel, and to show some form of initiative different to that of the other units in the same grouping. When our solar universe came into being, we are told in the allegorical language of the ancient scriptures, there was war in heaven. the Son and his 7 brothers did not function with true unanimity. Remember that evil is relative to consciousness and evolution. We do not expect wild animals to assimilate to human behavior in an ordered society. In the same way, the higher God-evolved souls do not expect humanity to behave with all the godliness that has been achieved in the higher realms, though they work to inspire us to greater heights, which is our ultimate destiny. So rebellion manifests at different levels, but it pervades all existence. Some rebellions are significant and some less so, though always relative to the consciousness of the perceiver. As we evolve, our angle of vision increases and our perception of what is evil is continually adjusted to higher light and truth. Remember this statement previously quoted from the ancient wisdom: whether in heaven or on earth, there is always evidenced a tendency by some units in the group to revolt, to rebel, and to show some form of initiative different to that of the other units in the same grouping. We are truly free to choose and initiate different paths and to experiment with our evolution. Some decisions may be considered unorthodox or uncharted territory when compared to the evolution that has occurred before. One such instance is that of Sanat Kumara, our present planetary logos for Earth. Of him, the ancient wisdom states, "The great stream of living energy, which is manifesting itself in our Earth scheme of evolution, is conditioned by a temperament, an attitude, and an orientation that is that of a divine rebel. It is only rebellion that produces pain and sorrow, but this rebellion is inherent and innate in the deity of our planet himself, the one in whom we live and move and have our being. It is therefore a tendency greater than the individual unit." What was the decision by Sanat Kumara that resulted in such pain and suffering, hinting at his so-called rebellion from the usual path? Again, the esoteric teachings give us a glimpse. The decision of the planetary logos to take a physical vehicle produced an extraordinary stimulation in the evolutionary process, and by his incarnation and the methods of force distribution he employed, he brought about in a brief cycle of time what would otherwise have been inconceivably slow. The germ of mind in animal man was stimulated, the fourfold lower man was coordinated and stimulated, and became a fit receptacle for the coming in of the self-conscious entities, those spiritual triads, the reflection of spiritual will, intuition or wisdom and higher mind, who had for long ages been waiting for just such a fitting. The fourth, or human kingdom, came thus into being, and the self-conscious, or rational unit man, began his career. Thus we see the initiative that the God of this world undertook. His rebellion was one of compassionate service to humanity, but with a known risk. He sought to evolve and stimulate humanity far sooner than normal unfoldment takes place. He is gambling, to use a crude metaphor, that this risk can yield results, and that humanity and the hierarchy may be equal to the challenge. It is something to consider the journey of souls in the history of our planet Earth. Perhaps as we consider our own state of existence, we might take comfort knowing that beings much more evolved, including the Logos of Earth, have taken a similar path, passing through the pain and sorrow before achieving light, love, unity, and the divine return to our actual source, wherein lies the good, the beautiful, and the true.